Here I am again, your friend. You must not understand that the Spirit speaking came into a human incarnation, perhaps on many occasions. And each time, particularly in the recent ones, you see the obvious, the parents' lovemaking, the normal sexual intercourse action is actually the highest form of channeling because you bring forth a spirit. Perhaps my mother and father were confused. How could it be this being with this really high IQ and all? So it could just be from our DNA and our offspring. Because most people don't understand this. This is why the hierogamic union, as Lisa Renee calls it, some said were how beings such as Yeshua were brought into existence, say that Mother Mary and Joseph understood this concept that it was the highest form of channeling. But with the moon matrix machine B666 system, our memories are wiped clear every time. I remember when I was 5 years old, riding around on my big wheels, talking in star languages and languages from past lifetimes and light languages, and I didn't know what it was till recently hearing it on YouTube. So I give thanks and praises once again to all of the dark ones and all of the light ones for this trickster game. The coyote on my totem pole. I have been blessed to be able to have jumped past and transcended some of these tricks. But like I say, however, reading the Creature from Jekyll Island and by Griffin and the Body Electric right now by Robert O. Becker, finishing that, he just begins to skim the surface of some of the weaponry that was being used in the era when he was doing his work. And to make a huge summary, the deceiver has every kind of mind control abilities, many that are incomprehensible to us, that are electromagnetic and microwave induced. And this has been known about for 50 years and now has become declassified. And whether the source is the Draco Orion group, Zeta Reticuli that work for them, Illuminati, Nazis, or all of the above, it's all declassified. However, the obvious is still pertinent and important. The final battle over Earth and human bodies, the territory of the planet, surface planet, and these temporal bodies, is all mostly inside our minds, as it always was, since the beginning of the Dark Ones hijacking the Stargates and the learning from the masters such as Yeshua and the Buddhas and all the great spiritual enlightened beings, and then inverting the teachings and using them to control others as much as possible. All these things have become extremely blatant and obvious now. Just like the old Bewitched TV show, except now you know that you can actually see Klaus Schwab or Bill Gates is the image of this deceiver inside your subconscious mind on one shoulder, for example. And particularly those of you who took their medical experiment, mass psychosis, human RNA experiment. Well, you can bet your sweet bippy that you're all going to have, no matter how much of a kind-hearted person you are, You're going to have this internal battle, classic age, timeless human battle. For as long as the Antichrist, the anti-life, the deceivers, the Illuminati, and the Draco's forces of mind control and media control are able to persist at the grand, massive, and massively myopic, inducing massive amounts of psychosis and massive amounts of solipsism and narcissism amongst the population continues, we will all be forced to face the part of ourselves that is inverted or fake or lying or demonically possessed, and remove those thoughts and parts, become clear, become pure like the Christ, become pure as soul Helios itself, become pure as Mother Earth Gaia herself, our divine, holy, sacred, original creators, or suffer the consequences of actually continuing to believe the lie. And for those of you who claim to be born again, such as myself even at times, and for those of you who claim to be enlightened, such as myself at times, as Don Miguel Ruiz said, when you're not the full master, your life as a spiritual warrior is one day in heaven, one day in hell. And this will continue until you purify, until I purify, to the point when, again, if you do massive galactic history, if you have the courage to be someone like Graham Hancock, who says, no, we have evidence that there have been other civilizations such as Atlantis or Mu. If you're willing to do the research, perhaps you too, such as myself and Lisa Renee and Dan Willis, and like I say, all my other major research sources that I give great thanks to, perhaps you too can identify yourself as originally a pure spirit of the sacred Christos, the divine Christ, and realize that other, maybe quieter voice on your other shoulder, just like in the old TV shows, the voice that tells you to be respectful, the voice that would never coerce you, that would never terrify you, that would never rule you with fear. Perhaps it is time for everyone who watches my videos, in particular, because some of you are only a fraction as with the Christ consciousness as me, that you realize that Lucifer and Satan's clubs and their lies are not your real identity, and your real original identity is not the one enlightened master, but we are all threads in a huge sweater that covers this earth. It is called the Christ, the original Spirit Creator family, the Sacred Christos family, all the way from Florida to San Diego to Hawaii, to the Hawaiian Islands, to Japan, to Europe, to all the places infected by the inversions and the hologramic deceptions, to all the people and beings and spirits and places who accept in their hearts their responsibility to master, to control in a harmless and respectful way their own holograms and their own loving conscious creations. To all of those of you who take free will seriously and peacefully, and to all of those of you who still think you can be violent or abusive or mentally coercive or disgusting, and it's okay. Everyone is at a different level of awareness and awakening. However, I recommend, and I am the authority of the life experience I've had on the front lines in this extremely mind-controlled place, extremely electronically programmed and hologrammically and behaviorally and pharmaceutically programmed and methamphetamine and drug-infested, fentanyl-infested zones, and learn to somehow maintain a tiny amount of respect for all people, because that without that tiny amount, life can become something resembling a dog eat dog world. But one day when I was perhaps 20 years old, I was trying to go to labor ready in North Charleston, but there was no jobs that day, or they sent them all out, and I went to the bus stop, and this was several years before CARTA actually had to shut down for a year or so because someone had actually embezzled $1 million out of the company, and it was the part of the route that they still use. We're on the ground by the bus stop in the ghetto there. I find this purple book published in Boulder, Colorado. It said An Ascension Handbook by Tony Stubbs. And I only found a few interviews with him on YouTube, but I must give big thanks to him. And for this book this also was the first I had heard of such a concept as ascension. I didn't even know what it was. And it contained a prayer that I found extremely powerful and useful as long as I applied and believe in it, to the point of saving my life when people were about to kill me, touching my aura, holding their weapons against me, and they didn't do anything. And it's, I only let in and out light and love. So perhaps my bloodkins and other family and friends don't understand that, how I've remained, even especially after fell on my bicycle and supposedly hit by a truck and 15 broken bones, and I'm okay now. Because I believe that some higher part of my spirit or my higher self, my angel guides, kept me from the Dominican hospital, kept me from harm's way, even at that point when something or someone, including perhaps the suicidal part of my subconscious, was ready to go. No, my guides were going to transform that into this channel. It was not going to turn me. For death, as I said before, death is a transformation of form. Physical bodies come and go, but your soul has a chance each incarnation. And some are trying to learn the wrong way in between. And some are able to help us in between. But in the long term, eventually we all realize the sacred Christ is who we are. The devil's lies are always a fake ID and who we are not. Everything Lucifer has taught us, everything Satan has taught us, only becomes valuable when you repent or transcend, when you give up the horrible things that you thought you needed to do because they convinced you or terrified you into being a moral coward. Maybe it will take some of you several more lifetimes, but eventually you're going to realize that harmlessness, self-respect, joy, fun, and bliss are the real nature of human life, and creativity every day. One of the Aboriginals' 10 Commandments. And as I said in my mildly viral chant, then you will be giving thanks every day. So let that day come to you today or as soon as you can. No matter how much pain or fake pride in the satanic system you have, remember, even if you say, I'm a hypocrite or I don't know anything, I've had my tests. I've had my failures and I've had my passes. Every spirit knows something. And I give thanks to all life for this.